What's going on, everyone? Declan and George coming at you with a midnight mini-sode. We are talking about the news that just broke earlier today that after a lot of speculation, the Marvel Netflix shows are going to get a new streaming home in the US. They're coming to Disney Plus. We got Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Punisher, Defenders, even Agents of Shield, which was on ABC for 7 years, is gonna come to Disney Plus March 16th. That's in a couple of weeks. But Declan, as a huge fan of some of these shows and someone who is kind of mixed feelings about others, what do you think of the move to Disney Plus? Were you a little upset about them leaving Netflix, or what do you think about them continuing on in this space?
I'm so the Marvel Netflix shows were always a gray area that I was like curious how it would be resolved. And while this isn't the most surprising development, it is still a bit shocking somewhat, given that the Marvel Netflix shows are like literally very much, I mean, not very mature shows.
Yeah,
Like,
the TVMA rating for a lot of them.
Yeah. And so like I remember like thinking like, Disney Plus, I was like, what's gonna happen to them, kind of like, it's like they were made prior to prior to Disney Plus as an institution. And so what's gonna happen. And so the fact that they're coming to Disney Plus, I highly doubt that there'll be any sort of like censorship or changes to them and all that. But unless someone knows the Disney Plus catalog better than I do, I feel like this is one of, if they come on, this will be like one of the most like this will be straight up R-rated, which I don't think nearly any other I mean, not officially R-rated, but like I don't think any other content on Disney Plus is like R-rated or equivalent.
To my knowledge, and I'm not familiar with their entire library, but this would be some of the most prevalent TVMA, mature content, viewer discretion advised type deal on the platform. Do you think that this could pave the way for Disney Plus producing its own TVMA content?
Disney Plus producing it, I feel like I'll have to see it to believe it, kind of. I would like to see it, like, just like, I mean, I like
Daredevil season 4. Make it happen.
Yes. I would. That's basically it. I would like to see Daredevil season 4 in any way possible. But with that being said, I would imagine that they're probably still going to slightly avoid that. But if mature content can at least exist in Disney Plus, I do feel like I would say that's a good thing. Having more stuff available on Disney Plus, I think, would be a nice thing to have. So it's not just content that fits into a certain parameter, kind of. It's a bit more open, a bit more free.
Yeah.
I do like that. And if the Marvel Netflix shows lead to that, that'd be an exciting thing.
Yeah. So with these shows, all of these characters, their rights, the rights to the shows reverted to Disney from Netflix as of March 1st. They left Netflix at the end of the day on February 28th, March 1st. Rights revert to Disney. So they're coming to Disney Plus.
All the people in the middle of Daredevil who are like just finishing it up. But then,
hey, you know what? We got a couple of weeks, and then they can pick back up again.
Very true. Very true.
So all of these characters, Agents of Shield, you got Phil Coulson basically at the center of it after the events of the Avengers. Do you think that these shows, I mean, we saw Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, we saw Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye. So do you think that these shows, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, do you think that they could play into the MCU
It's an interesting
with the current actors that were on the shows?
It's an interesting question. Obviously, with Matt Murdock played by Charlie Cox returned, it's kind of I mean, in some ways, it's confirmed that at least some of them will return. I would imagine the majority will. It's an interesting thing because I remember reading about this, and this is a subject I don't know as much as I would like. But from what I understand, there was a bizarre behind the scenes. There were bizarre behind the scenes goings on with the Marvel Netflix shows and the Marvel TV shows in general versus the movies. Basically, from what I understand, and this is extremely simplified and possibly incorrect. But basically, for a while there, Feige had to work with one of Marvel's investors early on who had a big control over the company, who is one of those guys who is somewhat secretive, but by all accounts was a total jerk and no one liked working with them all. I want to say his name is Ron something.
Doesn't matter.
I don't want to say the wrong name. But yeah, still. So this guy was unlikable. So Disney sort of stepped in and basically took the movies and took the TV shows and split it down the middle so that Feige basically has full, he's the only person in charge of the movies, and this other guy who everyone hated was basically, they gave him the TV shows as his own thing, kind of, which is why as the series went on, it felt like less and less crossovers with the actual mainstream MCUs occurred. Obviously, in Daredevil, they mentioned the Battle of New York and all that, but then afterwards, characters are mentioned, but there's not even they never appear on screen or in the plots of the shows, and they just start to feel like their own entities. And that's because of this weird, fully just behind the scenes split that occurred between the movies and TV shows. It sort of leads the Netflix shows in this weird, it almost feels like, and to talk about the multiverse, it almost feels like a pocket universe, kind of a miniature continuity within the continuity.
That's something that is really intriguing with the reverting of these rights, and now Marvel having essentially Kevin Feige having access to these properties.
Obviously,
these creative properties are now essentially eligible to be tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Like I just said, Daredevil is now going to be in every movie and also the main character in every movie, which I'm of course in favor.
Why did I invite you on for this one?
Why would you not want that?
You've got Matt Murdock, Daredevil. You've got Wilson Fisk, Kingpin. You've got Edwin Jarvis was in Avengers Endgame from the Agent Carter TV series.
Oh, really?
So these TV shows have tied into the MCU in very small ways. It's like a cameo, essentially. Yeah. Wilson Fisk and Hawkeye was a little bit bigger of a presence. But these characters have, like you mentioned, Daredevil talked about the Battle of New York. These shows have the connection to the MCU. And of course, with the series Defenders, the Defenders, they've all interacted with each other. So they're their own thing, like you were saying, like a pocket continuity. But with Multiverse of Madness coming up on the horizon, you could bring these characters in as variants, not necessarily as the characters we saw in the shows. So I think with that possibility, I think it's very likely that we see Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, all of these characters come into the MCU, whether it's how they appeared in their own series or not, I think there's a really strong likelihood.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I will just say, J. Jonah Jameson is proof that variants don't have to not look like their person. They can look identical. So I honestly, given how I feel like Daredevil and Jessica Jones feel so different from the MCU, I know there are people who would disagree with it, and I fully respect the opinion. I feel like I would be okay if it turned out, if like the Daredevil and Jessica Jones who appear in the movies turn out to be slightly different variations from the TV show ones. Like I feel like I would be okay with that. Obviously, it would be great if somehow they could all be together in it. But if that's how it has to be, I think that would be fine. I think, again, given how different it started to feel, I think it's okay for me as a fan of the shows. Well, a fan of a lot of them.
All right. I know Daredevil is your favorite of all of the Marvel Netflix shows, other Marvel TV shows that are coming to Disney Plus later this month. So I got to ask, in one sentence, what is your second favorite of the properties coming to Disney Plus on March 16th?
I'm going to say I'm going to say Jessica Jones. You know, obviously, it's more a mixed bag, but it's still, the good parts are absolutely still worth watching for sure. I will confess, I haven't watched Iron Fist yet, so I can't.
Well, you're gonna have the chance. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Defenders, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They are all coming to Disney Plus on March 16th. You can watch them all starting on that day if you live in the US or Canada, Ireland, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. I think that's all the countries that they're coming to.
I can't think of any other.
Yeah, definitely.
You know that better than I do.
Definitely enjoy the series. I know we will. Having them on this new platform just increases the Marvel content on Disney Plus, makes it a little easier for streamers. So
given that Daredevil will undoubtedly become the new, main character that the entire MCU revolves around, I think it only makes sense for, everyone to get the chance to catch up on the new main character. Now that Captain America's gone, has to be Daredevil.
Go read Declan's first Letterboxd review of Spider-Man No Way Home, and you'll see what he means by Daredevil being the main character of the MCU from here on out. That's going to do it for this Midnight Minisode. We will be back with the Unqualified Filmbros on Friday. We're getting excited for the Oscars. So stay tuned. We will see you very soon. And enjoy the Marvel Netflix shows on Disney Plus.
Excelsior.
Good night.